All right, you guys, it is 11 a.m. and because this is a short webinar, we are going to get started. So thank you for joining us today. We will be presenting Squash Burnout and Thrive Instead by Antoinette Joy. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. This session is being recorded. We will post a link to the recording and slide deck on the webinar page of our website as soon as it is available. To ensure a high quality recording, all attendees are encouraged to mute your mic. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. We may or may not have time for questions at the end, so just keep that in mind, okay? But we will get to them as best as we can. Finally, I will take a minute to introduce our presenter. So Antoinette is an independent training consultant and partners with a variety of organizations as a trainer and project consultant. Antoinette has over 20 years of experience creating and maintaining healthy work environments and effectively supporting all levels within organizations. Now, without further ado, Antoinette, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Marissa, and good morning and welcome to all of you, and especially happy Friday. We made it through another week, so congratulations on that. My name, of course, is Antoinette. I am an instructor with CPS HR Consulting and also work with a variety of other training organizations. And today we get to talk about the important topic of burnout, which impacts probably everyone here, which is why we're here. And first off, I just want to acknowledge and recognize that you are here. And that is the first step in putting your needs first and recognizing the priority of self-care. So if we define self-care, I actually looked that up. The definition of self-care is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during times of stress. And so that's what we're doing. If we were just to sum that up, I think in 4 words, it would be just being mindful of your needs, because your needs are important. And that's really where we're going to spend our time this morning, is talking about how we can squash burnout and thrive instead. But in order to do that, we have to know what thriving looks like for us. We have to know what our needs are. We have to understand what those triggers are to our burnout. Then we can take action. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in our short time together. So this picture, can anybody resonate with this picture? What do you feel when you see this picture? You can go ahead and put your thoughts in chat. It's the best way to participate in our webinar today. But what does this feel like to you? Yeah. I like that. I like that response. Yeah. When I look at it, I have the same feelings: heavy, overwhelmed, tired, frustrated. It doesn't look like a good time. It doesn't look like fun. So what percentage of people do you think experience burnout on the job? Just give it a guess. What percentage of people do you think experience burnout on the job? Yeah, you all are really, really close. And some of you even nailed it. So according to a Gallup survey, look at that number, 76%. So that tells us a couple of things. Number one, it tells us we aren't alone. Many of us are in this situation at some time. Not always, hopefully, but we're all going to have those moments where we're going to experience burnout. So we aren't alone. And it also means we need to do something about it, because we don't want to look like this every day. So what is burnout? What does that term even mean? So again, another definition that I looked up for all of us. And from the Mayo Clinic tells us that burnout is a special type of work-related stress that involves a sense of reduced accomplishment. That made a ton of sense to me when I read that. And I'm hoping Maybe that makes sense to you all. Because when I think of a good day, when I'm pleased with a day and I feel accomplished, it's usually because I've made an impact, I've made a difference, and that's the prize of all my hard work. And if I don't have that feeling of accomplishment, making an impact, making a difference, I'm not going to feel good. And if I have that feeling over a long period of time, I'm going to get tired. And I'm probably not going to feel good about what I'm doing. So that alone, I think, is really helpful because it gives us something tangible to work with. Is if I want to reduce burnout, I need to focus on accomplishments and really think about what it is that I'm doing every day and then celebrating that. Because when we don't, then we may experience some of the negative aspects of stress. And it looks different for everybody. So we want to keep that in mind too. It's not the same for everyone. So some of us might respond to burnout in a physical way. So we may have a change in appetite, headaches, maybe we can't sleep or we can't stay asleep, which leads to physical exhaustion. Some of us may have an emotional response. So maybe we have an increase of anxiety, stress, really what we saw in that picture, right? Feeling overwhelmed, overburdened. Maybe we start to alienate ourselves. We just kind of hide because it's too much. Some of us experience burnout in a cognitive way. This would be me, unfortunately. So in all of these I can relate to. So inability to focus, forgetfulness, I hate that one, impaired judgment, disorganized, fuzzy thinking. Yeah, that's going to have an impact on my ability to accomplish something during the day. And then we have behavioral. So this is where we might feel irritable, disinterested, apathy, just maybe kind of giving up. So you may align with one or more of those, but not all of them. And just because you feel burnout in some way, we want to be careful and not assume that others are experiencing it or seeing it in the same way. So this is just giving us a little bit of data behind this idea and this situation and phenomenon that we're talking about, which is burnout. So I want you to think about for a minute, what do you think impacts your stress responses? So whether it's something I just said here or something else that has come to mind, do you know what triggers that for you? So what fuels your burnout? And I want to give you a minute. We've got a minute here to think about that and put something in chat. So how do you know that you're burned out and what causes that for you? Based on what you know right now, what do you think causes burnout for you? All right. And what I want you to notice, not only I want you to put your response in chat, but look at the other responses that you're seeing. There's some common themes, right? We're seeing some common themes. And this is really important to know what it is that causes burnout for you, because we can't fix something that we don't know what it is, right? This is step one. And maybe there's more than one, but this is a good start. So there's a professor at Berkeley who has identified at least 6 aspects of work that can fuel burnout. And what I'm seeing in chat aligns with, a lot of what you all put in chat aligns with what I'm going to show here on the slide. So the first one is workload or overload. So this is when we feel that we have really high demands, more work than time allowed. Maybe we don't feel like we have enough resources or the right equipment. and it's just too much. It's a unreasonable amount of workload, which is different than busy. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to have busy days, but over an extended period of time, if you feel like you just never get to that point of being accomplished, this could be one of those triggers for you. Another one is control or autonomy, or lack of. So lack of autonomy or too much control. So this is when we have a feeling or when we experience not having control over our jobs. So I saw some of you put micromanaging. I think someone put nano managing. So when we don't have a say, when we don't get to use our skills, our strengths, and contribute with our experience, that's going to cause a sense of, or, it's going to cause and potentially trigger some burnout feelings. So we want to be able to do what we're paid to do and contribute at a level that aligns with what we know we can do. All right, another area that may trigger burnout is feedback or a lack of feedback. And this is both positive feedback and constructive feedback. So the data tells us, we know we like positive feedback, right? That's usually universal for most folks. But the data also tells us that we want constructive feedback as employees, as long as it's delivered in the right way. And so I do a lot of training and with leaders on leadership topics, and feedback is a big one and one that I'm passionate about. We have to give positive feedback. We also have to give constructive feedback because we can't fix what we don't know. And so this is a really, I think, significant element that if is ignored, absolutely can lead to burnout. This is one of mine that is really important to me. And so when we don't have that feedback, we're kind of left not knowing if we are accomplishing and meeting expectations. Okay, workplace community. This has taken a turn in the last couple of years, and we're finding also, not for everybody, but for some of us who are no longer working with their peers day in and day out and are working in hybrid or remote environments, that this is having an impact, this lack of connection and collaboration. But when it leads to burnout, it's when it is not going well. So when we have discourse with our peers, our bosses, other people, we aren't getting along, the gossips, the rumors, all of that nonsense, that can fuel some burnout. All right, fairness. This is a big one too. When we feel that we aren't treated with respect or the same as others. If we aren't seeing equitable treatment among the team, this can be a source of frustration. And then the last one is having value or meaning in your work. So do you see and do you feel the impact and the purpose of your job? And I do this exercise often in classes. You could do this on your own, but taking some time and really understanding what is the impact of what you do. Not your title, not your job description, not the tasks that you do, but to take some time and really think about, why does this job exist and what impact am I having on others when I do it well? If that is unclear, that can fuel burnout. Getting clarity on that can make a really big difference towards feeling accomplished at the end of the day. So regardless of what you all put in chat, I would ask you to challenge yourself and see if anything that I just said is helpful in adding to your definition or even clarifying your definition of what causes burnout for you. Because once we can identify it, then we can do something about it. And what we want to do, Kimberly says, all of the above. What we want to do is get to a point where we can thrive. We don't want to get stuck and hang out in, this is bad and this sucks and poor me. We want to get beyond that and actually thrive and overcome this. So the definition of thriving is to progress towards or realize a goal despite or because of circumstances. What jumps out at you when you hear and read that definition? Something really screams at me when I read that. How do we thrive? Anything jump out at you? Progress. Yeah, progress. We have to take action. We have to do something. Just saying I'm burnout and this sucks doesn't get us anywhere. We have to do something. We have to take action. We have to put effort into it. Just like we would do with anything else we want to thrive at. Whether it's a physical goal, you want to run a marathon, you want to thrive as a parent, a friend, you want to be the best basketball player on your, weekend sports team, best piano player, make the best roasted chicken, TikTok video, whatever. It takes action and effort. We have to do something. And so that's what we need to focus on. And so we have our definition. Burnout is a special type of work-related stress that involves a sense of reduced accomplishment. That's great. We know that. Let's move on. Focus on what we can accomplish because, ready for this? Nothing changes if nothing changes. I love that quote. So it's not my quote. Courtney Stevens, she is an author. She wrote a book, The Lies About Truth. I've never read the book, but I like the quote. So I know nothing about her book, but I do like the quote. And if we want to do something, we need to do something. Otherwise, we're going to just stay where we are. One really simple thing you can do, and you can start doing it after this at your lunch hour. You can do it every day, 2 minutes. Get out a notebook, some notebook that you can use every day, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and just acknowledge your accomplishments every day. So simple, so easy. And big ones or small ones, all of them count. So did you make somebody smile today? Did you reach your goal of, how many ounces of water you wanted to drink that day? Did you take your breaks? Many of you, if you're burned out, you're probably not taking your breaks. Did you take your breaks? Did you finish a project? Did you have a great conversation with a customer? Whatever it is, write it down and celebrate. We need to celebrate more. There you go, Sandra. That would be my one thing, right? If you leave today with anything, take your breaks. Take your breaks. You have to take your breaks. Data, research, and we know that is so necessary. All right. Yeah. Take a break, get some sun. Absolutely. Get outside, natural light. Even if it's just a 10-minute break, it makes all the difference in the world. Okay. We don't have time to harp on that, but it's really important. So notebook, acknowledge those accomplishments, and then celebrate it at the end of the day. At the end of the week, look at your accomplishments. Go have your favorite dessert. Go to your favorite restaurant. Buy yourself some flowers. Do something to celebrate. That's easy. What we also need to do is we need to recognize what we want. What do you want? What is getting in the way? Reverse that barrier and build resiliency. What do you want? Do you know what you want? Are you clear on what that looks like for you? Stephen Covey, famous quote, start with the end in mind. So what is your ideal work day? If you had a magic wand and you could say, this is what I want to feel like at the end of the day. This is what I want my day to look like. What might it look like? Go ahead. You can put it in chat. For me, I want to learn something. I want to know that I've helped others. I want to grow. I want to know I've made a difference. That's what I want. But what do you want? You have to know what your ideal work day looks like. Then we can get there. Then we can create it. So complete a project or a task, help my team, learn new things. And we have to be reasonable, all right? So Ariana, I'm going to pick on you. I hope you're okay with this. To be able to finish all of my tasks, is that reasonable? We have to set ourselves up for success. You are never, and I know we aren't supposed to say never, but you're never going to finish all of your tasks, right? So let's be reasonable. It's reasonable to help your team and learn something new. It's reasonable to make progress on your tasks, but let's not set ourselves up for failure. All right. What we want to do is ask ourselves, what can I control? What can I control? What can I do? That is the secret to squashing out burnout. Focus on what you can do. Another Stephen Covey concept. And so what you can do is learn to set boundaries. You can, these are skills. You can reframe obstacles. You can improve your time management skills. And you can embrace assertive communication. And Greg is referencing Stephen Covey, his chat, the circle of influence and the circle of control. Excellent place to start. If y'all have a little bit of time this weekend, go ahead and Google that. Really insightful. Again, simple concepts makes a big difference. I'm a big believer that simple is best. We don't have to make things hard and complicated. Think about, if we just look here at setting boundaries, how would your life change if you were able to set boundaries and commit to them? How would your life change if you were able to say no? How many of you are comfortable saying no? How many of you are comfortable saying no? Can you say no at work? People usually get really nervous when I talk about that, but we talk about that in the class. It is hard, but you can do it. I promise you can do it. All right, last thing I'm going to leave with you before we leave today, something else simple that you can do. We're going to acknowledge our accomplishments. Also, over the next couple of weeks, conduct a boundary audit. Get clear on when you feel tension, resentment, frustration. When that happens, it's likely that a boundary has been crossed. But know what that is. Is it long hours? Is it the heavy workload? Are you just bored? People don't realize that sometimes burnout could be a result of just being bored. I do the same thing every day and I'm not challenged and I don't want to do it anymore. I don't like it. It could be that simple. Is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, learning a new skill could be helpful. So what causes you distress? Ask yourself why. Get that list figured out. Then we can move on to reversing those barriers, reversing those boundaries. We can set new ones, set yourself up for success, and then communicate those boundaries. Part of that communication is learning to say no, I've got a tool for you on that. We talk about it in the class. It's really easy, I promise. Also, just acknowledging and setting your schedule up. When do you have the most energy? And use that to schedule the most important projects. Taking those breaks, letting people know, I am going to take lunch today from 12 to 1. This is my challenge to all of you today. I'm going to take lunch today from 12 to 1. I will not respond to email. I'm not going to respond to my phone. Yes, the no meeting zones on the calendar. Thank you, Candy. Look, there's even a name for it. So it's real. People do it. So do that boundary audit. Understand what those boundaries are that are being crossed. Pay attention to when you feel frustrated or discomfort. Write that down. Come to class on the 18th, August 18th, and we'll learn how to reset boundaries, learn how to communicate them. You already know now what burnout is. You know you can overcome it. You know that it's a skill, and focus on what you can control. All right. We don't have a lot of time. That's all the time that we have. I did leave a couple minutes open for questions, but what we talked about today and what my recommendation is, define your ideal workday. What do you want? What can you control? And then identify those boundaries that are possibly being crossed so we can fix them, reverse them, and start building resiliency. Hopefully that is motivating on a Friday. Remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. Marissa is going to put the link for the class that you can sign up for. The registration link. It's just a half-day class. Really good stuff, I promise, in there. Sign up. We've got 100 and almost 125 people in class today. It might fill up quick. Sign up, take care of yourself, self-care, take your breaks. Thank you so much. Somebody just put a link to an article about taking breaks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone grab that. It's from Grace Parker. And I will hang out for a few minutes if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you all. Again, we'll post the link to the recording on the webinar page of our website, cpshr.us. Just scroll to the bottom. It should be featured on the bottom of the page. Again, thank you for joining us. And I will post the link where it's going to be here in the chat as well.
So Marissa, somebody is asking about the cost for the class on the 18th.
Let's see.
Oh, looks like Tracy's answering it for us. $100, is that the class? Is that the?
Yes, correct.
Okay. $100 to invest in yourself. I promise it'll be worth $100. Would love to see you all there.